We will in fact see a market structure bill become law here in the US before the end of the year.
Bitcoin and the entire cryptocurrency market rallying today in anticipation of the biggest piece of crypto legislation ever. Of course, now postponed potentially by this pesky government shutdown.
Do you think that is realistic, especially with everything going on Capitol Hill right now? I mean, we're in the middle of this whole government shutdown situation.
So as Bitcoin rallies, let's look at 5 altcoins I'm buying in preparation for October and a history of government shutdowns and what a government shutdown really means for the Bitcoin price. The longest government shutdown happened in 2018 and lasted 34 full days. We actually had our first government shutdown back in 1976 that lasted 10 days. It was a Republican president and a Democratic House and Senate. We saw many government shutdowns under Ronald Reagan. Of course, it was typically a mixed Congress and it only lasted 1 to 3 days. How does a government shutdown affect crypto? Well, let's look to 2013, 2018, and 2018, the 3 times we've seen this prior that crypto has been in existence. The first government shutdown was under Barack Obama, September 30th, 2013. It was a mixed Congress, and this government shutdown lasted 16 days. Looking back, let's take this off of, no, let's put this on auto. Looking back, September 30th, 2013, really altcoins weren't even a thing back then. It was primarily just Bitcoin. It looks like Bitcoin dipped the week of. Obviously, a government shutdown has nothing to do with the fundamentals of Bitcoin. The dip was bought and the rally soon followed, so not a factor in 2013. If we look at January 19th, 2018, maybe this is more significant because Donald Trump was president. We had a Republican Congress. This one only lasted 2 days, of course. But looking at January 19th of 2018, January 19th, Bitcoin continued to dip. Of course, we know Bitcoin had just rallied tens, if not hundreds of percent. This was the first year altcoin season, and I think Bitcoin would have dipped. Crypto was dipping either way. We were just too overvalued at the time. Plus, this government shutdown only lasted 2 days, so not a big factor in the grand scheme of things anyway. The very last one happened in December 21st of 2018 under Donald Trump and a Republican Congress. This one lasted 34 days, so this is more significant. And looking at December 21st of 2018, right around here, the Bitcoin price was near all-time lows, $3,000 per coin. If you bought Bitcoin during this government shutdown and held, you did well because the Bitcoin price continued to rally. And then that brings us, of course, to where we are now. Okay, let's take this off of auto. Actually, zoom out a little bit. We'll take this off of auto, put it on lock, and bring it up. We see the only big difference with this government shutdown is that we need the government. We need Congress to pass the biggest piece of pro-crypto legislation in history. This is such a big game changer, as explained the significance by Chief Legal Officer of Coinbase.
What the Clarity Act provides, and what we think the Senate counterpart will similarly provide, is a simple, even if not perfect, but simple way for people to understand which tokens may fall under the jurisdiction of the Securities and Exchange Commission, which tokens are better understood and treated as commodities that fall under the jurisdiction of the CFTC, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. And overall, we will finally have spot market authority at the federal level for digital assets for the very first time. That's critically important in order to resolve long-standing questions of not only which federal agencies have oversight of this market, but the relationship between the federal government as a whole and state governments that have also attempted to regulate in this area. So there are a lot of open questions that remain regarding the proper rules for crypto. Clarity provides many, if not all, of those rules for us.
As you know, I discussed in one of my last videos, crypto holders, we are cooked. The big banks are trying to fight the passing of that. They're essentially trying to rewrite some of the rules that were passed bipartisanly in the Genius Act stablecoin bill, saying individuals, you and me, shouldn't receive yield or rewards on our stablecoins, even though they do. This is the big banks trying to retain their monopoly on money, on yield.
When the Genius Act passed in July on a bipartisan basis, it was very clear that rewards were an important part of the financial consideration that belonged to consumers and investors, and really were an important mechanism for making sure that they would enjoy the benefits of their participation in these crypto networks. It's unfortunate to see the banks want to relitigate this issue, to reopen a question that was resolved squarely in the favor of our customers, which was to say that they are entitled to these rewards and that they should enjoy the benefits of them.
So even if worst case, let's say that this government shutdown beats the old record, Trump's old record of 34 days, let's say Trump maybe has more power now and he's going to hold this maybe 50 days, that would push the passing of the market structure bill from the end of October maybe into Christmas, actually maybe into January of 2026. But it's happening either way. This is important. And why is it taking so long for Bitcoin to explode? I mean, really, if it's so obvious, why isn't Bitcoin going higher faster? I loved this explanation from Tom Lee explaining the real reason why the Bitcoin price isn't moving. This clip is from maybe 6 weeks ago. It's as relevant today as it ever was, and things are only more bullish today.
Maybe they have $10 Bitcoin. We have clients that have bought Bitcoin at $100, and now it's 100,000. They're not looking to, they don't care if Bitcoin goes to a million. They are probably sellers at around 100,000. So we're churning the base now because 95% of the institutional world doesn't own Bitcoin, but a very significant portion of Bitcoin holders are sitting on huge gains. So I think this is the churn that's happening in Bitcoin now.
Bitcoin at $100,000 per coin, such a psychological level. That's why we saw huge churn and burn, buyers into sellers, sellers into buyers at just under $100,000 per coin and just over $100,000 per coin. Weak hands are selling to strong hands. Once we can clearly break this churn, I expect a big move. And case in point, Bloomberg is now reporting that Vanguard, which has 50 million clients, they said no to the Bitcoin ETFs, offering it to their 50 million clients before. They are now considering offering their clients Bitcoin and altcoin products because it was hard to ignore the astounding success.
If you're a Vanguard investor and you want to buy Bitcoin ETFs, you don't want to go to another platform. And nearly every major platform now offers Bitcoin ETFs. So I feel like this is a sign of times, a big shift, but still we're not sure. But when we talked to Vanguard, they said they're listening to clients, they're talking about it. So again, they're opening the window by a little.
Yeah, I mean, to me, what it sounds like is they saw demand from clients.
Yes.
And they want to make sure that clients stay on their platform to do what they want.
Don't wander off the ecosystem, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
And looking at Solana, there are now more than 1 billion accounts on Solana, so the fundamentals of Sol trending up. We also see that Solana reached $100 billion in sustained market cap, faster than any tech company in history. So what took Google 8 years, what took Tesla 23 years, Solana did in 4.5 years. And notice how the mainstream media is starting to report on Bitcoin and Solana more favorably.
Well, I think now a lot of people understand what Bitcoin is. Bitcoin, it's digital gold. People understand there's only going to be 21 million of them. I think people have now started to understand why that's really important. And I think that the way I always think about it is you've got Bitcoin, the asset, and Solana is the infrastructure. So Solana is that infrastructure that is always on the internet that allows you to transfer money around the world, and it allows you to essentially wherever you are. If you've got an internet connection, then you've got access to a wallet, and gets you on financial rails around the world. So we've got Bitcoin the asset and Solana's the infrastructure.
Now, some people are asking, why are we seeing Supra pump a little? 8% in a day, not too shabby. Of course, looking at a much longer range, It's still down, but Supra is much newer. Some people call it the next Solana, the next SWI. And AutoFi isn't coming, it's already here on Supra, meaning that apps that run themselves. Zero manual work. You cannot get that on other blockchains. Co-founder of Supra explains.
We're the first to do system level automation. First in the world to have layer one smart contract, Oracle, and automation. Others are starting to look at this.
It's so big.
And there are some big chains that are looking at us now and like, damn, that's a good idea. And they're also trying to copy us. Like Supra is a trendsetter. Even there was little like kind of thing that maybe not everyone knows about or respects or understands. We're the trendsetter. Actually, like I said, people at like Ethereum Foundation, Solana Foundation, Aptos Foundation, SWI Foundation, whatever, they know about us. And the thing is, researchers are very collaborative, right? But they also don't have any incentive to talk about how awesome it is, the things we're doing, because we're competing, right? But the researchers, they talk to each other a lot, and they're very friendly with each other. And we've gotten very good, very nice things said about us across researchers because we're truly innovating the industry.
Also news for Chainlink and AI altcoin play Zero G Labs. Chainlink is live on the Zero G mainnet. Chainlink powers the Zero G ecosystem with CCIP as our canonical cross-chain infrastructure, making Zero G, the coin, a cross-chain token. Just a reminder, we did a deep dive. They're a sponsor of the channel. We did a deep dive with the founder. It started, crypto expert warns of AI takeover in 2026, Zero G Labs. Highly recommend you understand what's happening with AI and crypto. Link down below. We also see Proppy up 22% in the last month and 11% up in just the last day. If you're asking why, it may just be because they just put out their September report. In the 280 trillion real estate arena, September positioned Proppy as the compliant bridge to programmable ownership, strategic wins at scale. The key highlights were this: the Pro token went global with USD and Euro pairs. They got listed on Kraken. They were already on Coinbase. Aura Hotel in Tampa crushed it, 50% units sold in record time, with 1/3 closing in crypto. USDC led the charge, so they have real clients doing real estate transactions. And actually their Q3 metrics, 10% digital asset closings. BTC, ETH, XRP mix. So the real estate market, I would think, in the last 2-3 years has been low. It's very interesting to see real estate cryptos like Proppy growing. Also, episode 2 of Killer Whales is streaming on X now. It will be on Apple TV in the coming weeks, but it's streaming right to the crypto audience on X, on the Killer Whales Twitter account, co-produced by CoinMarketCap and Altcoin Daily. Let me share with you just a piece, but make sure you go and watch the whole episode.
We don't want to hear about data.
I don't want to hear about the data. I want to hear about the purpose.
Okay.
You, how will this affect your son's life? Like the success of this?
Okay. So, obviously, to be the Google has...
No, your son, your family. What are the stakes?
Trying to figure out what motivates you. And I'm ready to stab my eyeball out with this ballpoint pen, and I don't want to do that.
So don't mention the business. But what are you fighting for?
Me and the Mooch chopping it up, trying to get these entrepreneurs to give us some heart. We've heard the technicals. Give us some heart. The why. Any crypto traders, be sure to sign up for exchange partner BitUnix. Link down below. Claim the bonus. This is limited time just for the Altcoin Daily audience. And like all, we see you tomorrow.